what's being done to prevent a similar attack here at home from taking place. Just yesterday, ISIS released a brand new video talking about the attack in Paris and saying that they will hit Washington, D.C. next. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani joins me now as he goes on the record this evening. Mayor, welcome. Good to have you here. I think few people in this country have felt the wrath of this kind of attack in their city as you did on that day. And now when you're here again and you're thinking about it happening again, what's going through your mind?
What's going through my mind is this is what I expected to happen in the year after, 2 years after, 3 years after September 11, and it didn't. I happened to be in London, a half a block away from the bombing in London, which is kind of odd. But I've always realized that this is not over. And these people are at war with us. This is going to continue for quite some time. I think it's gotten more complicated. I think our pullout from Iraq has caused ISIS, direct cause of ISIS. And I think we better get serious about destroying ISIS, meaning the United States of America, not just France, not just a few countries in Europe. But the United States should join this effort to wipe them out. Yeah. And you do not defeat an army with bombings. You defeat an army with an army. And there's no boots on the ground, which is now, I think the president says no boots on the ground more often than he says anything else. This no boots on the ground is an absurdly stubborn position when you have these killers who are now threatening Washington, New York. They've already carried out attacks in Paris, a number of attacks in France. These are very dangerous people.
We know that there are 900 cases, something like that, that the FBI is investigating.
That's an extraordinary.
In this country. I know.
That's an extraordinary.
And we know that the hundreds of people who've gone over and some who've come back. So, what do you say to the American people who want to know what can they do? I mean, how can we be aware? How do you protect yourself?
People used to ask me 2 and 3 and 4 years after September 11, how come we haven't been attacked again? And I had a very simple answer for it. Because President George Bush went on offense against Islamic terrorism. He hit them in Afghanistan, he hit them in Iraq, and he kept them tied up. And they couldn't make the plans. They were on the run. They were in caves. When we let loose of that, we gave them the vacuum into which ISIS walked in, Iran, and other players. We have got to put them back on defense. And that will make it less possible for them to attack us here. Second thing, when we have troops in a place where people want to kill us, we gain a great deal of information. And the CIA is without information. If the president could have said the day before or the day of this attack that this ISIS was controlled, he's getting bad intelligence. I don't care how he wants to rationalize it. He's getting bad intelligence. All of a sudden, he's telling us we have ISIS under control and we have this massive attack in France.
For him, that's for sure.
Well, something tells you there's something wrong in the intelligence getting to the president of the United States.
What do people do here, though? I mean, there's a task force in New York City, a new one. How are they doing in Washington, D.C.? I mean, should people be aware? Because often we see civilians are the ones who tip somebody off.
Well, I can tell you about New York, because it started under me, it continued under Bloomberg and Kelly, and it's continuing now with Bill Bratton. And they are about as prepared and about as well-trained in spotting terrorists as any police force in the world. Look, they can't be 100% perfect. The police in Paris are very good, and look what happened. But you've got about as much protection in New York as I think police can possibly give you.
Yeah. Mayor Giuliani, thank you. I hope we get to say 3 years from now, gee, we thought it was going to happen, and it didn't. But I think a lot of people feel like...
If the president goes on offense, it won't happen. If he remains placid, if he continues to think that ISIS is under control, if he thinks his strategy is working, we're in deep trouble.
Mayor Giuliani, thank you. Always good to see you, sir.